Good to see you.
Yes, how are you?
It's weird to see me in clothes, right? I mean, do you want to get the whole picture?
Right? Like, what are we wearing?
And jeans? What?
I've never seen you in jeans.
Oh, well, listen, we gotta do the whole thing here. Look.
I love,
Yes.
yes.
Love it
So
so
it's
much.
weird, right? I mean, because none of the pole people. I mean, earrings. I mean, look at this rings. What's going on?
Oh,
Not me, Paulina. I'm still in my dance stuff.
No, I love it though. Like you have your true pole stuff. You have your pole. You have your shoes. Because all my stuff is like not here. I don't even have here. We have to show that I'm not a fake.
Hey everyone, it's me, Chris Rivers from Paul on the Call.
And I'm Mandy Mack.
Yes, and today we're going into episode 6 where we'll be interviewing Miss
Paulina.
Excited. Yes.
And
Hi everyone, I'm Paulina Alenkina.
Yes. I love it. Awesome. So Mandy, do you want to start off and go into it?
yeah. You can find Paulina on Instagram at Russian American Polar, and we'll list her Instagram and all the other ways you can follow her. But Paulina is one of our amazing teachers at Pole on the Wall, and she's been with us from the very beginning, and even before then, we've been polling with her for so long. And she's just so amazing. So we're excited to learn a little bit more about Paulina and what makes Paulina the pole dancer and other things as well.
Oh Lord Almighty.
So with that long intro,
Yeah.
Paulina, the first question, how long have you been pole dancing?
So I've been polling since 2014, which makes it essentially 8 years in September, which I don't know where the time went.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah, that's amazing. And did you always know that you wanted to teach pole, or did you just like, where did you think pole was going to take you at the beginning?
Well, that's actually one of my favorite stories about pole. Which starts not with pole at all. It starts with running. I used to work a job that had really, really long hours, and I always liked a workout that not just makes you sweat, but makes you tired, because then I sleep better. And I had no other time but run, no other time but for running, because it's easy, you have your shoes and you just go essentially. So I decided to train for a marathon. But I was not entirely body smart at that point, so I didn't do anything else. I just ran. I was like, well, I'm not 30 yet. I can just run. And I actually ended up getting hurt. I ran a marathon, but then ended up getting hurt in my hip. I had like this sharp shooting pain where I couldn't run anymore. And so this big part of my life all of a sudden was removed, right? I really love eating and I love working out. Those are two things, right? So, and the gym workouts weren't cutting it, and I started looking for something else to do. And someone said, "Hey, you should try pole dancing. It's a whole body workout." I'm like, "Do I look like a stripper to you? I mean, where are you trying to tell me to go?" The last time I've seen a pole dancer was in the club, and my boss paid for a lap dance at that time. I'm like, I did not see an actual fitness person doing pole for fitness ever. I didn't know that existed at that time, and I was like, not for me. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. So when I did get hurt, I remembered that conversation, and I was living in London at that time. And I went into London, LAPD, it's London Pole Dance Academy, near not far from London Bridge. And I took my first class, and I thought, oh my God, this is like the best thing in the world. I don't know why more people aren't doing it. Everybody there essentially came to work out. I mean, it wasn't a club, right? I entered, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be a club with lights and everything. No, it was just like a bunch of people working out, men, women, professional, whatever, like from all walks of life, all shapes and sizes. I was like, I can't believe this. It's so amazing. Why isn't everybody talking about it? And I was like, oh no, people did talk to me about it. I just didn't believe it existed. I just got really, really excited because it combined everything I love, right? It combined movement, combined dance, artistic expression, and it really was a whole body workout. I mean, like, who knew you had muscles like right here and like right there and like on your like back, like weird spots, right? And like my whole body ached the next day. I was like, oh, I love this. I want more of that. So I tried learning as fast and as much as I could. And then, yeah, that first class, I was like, I want to teach this one day. This is so much fun. I just loved the way it was, like how well all the students were supported and how excited the instructor was. I'm like, she really is excited. She loves this. I mean, I love this too. I want to teach this one day. So yeah, it was like kind of love at first sight for me.
I love it. Yes, awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Excellent. Well, you said that you got into it too from running. Did you have I think you had like a former background in dance?
I did do some dance. I wasn't one of those people that was like, oh yes, I did ballet since I was 3. That wasn't me. I always was absolutely enamored by dance, but my family actually didn't have that much means to put me through a dance school, even though I was born and raised in Russia, and that's kind of like what Russian girls do. But we didn't really have the right resource, and a scout looked at me and said my bones were too big or too wide, and they're like, it's not gonna cut. Like, that's not the look we're after, which actually right now, if you look back, it would have been a pretty decent fit because you do need a pretty good frame to be on point. But in either case, it didn't work out. And I wanted to dance the entire time because I'm actually clumsy as a person. Like I will walk into that door if it's open, face on, like right here. It will happen over and over again. Like all the doors, all the furniture has known my wrath. I literally have bruises from walking into places, into things. So I've always wanted to dance because I'm like, yeah, I know I can move, but I was a little awkward. And it wasn't until we moved to the States where I was a junior in high school. I started, there was an opportunity to play a sport. So I started trying things out in terms of movement and in terms of a little bit of dance class, because back when I was in Russia, unless you did ballet from age 3, you couldn't really do it recreationally. It was like you either do it to be professional or you don't do it at all. Right now it has changed, but back when I was born, it was still Soviet Union. So it's kind of like either you do it or you don't at all. So when I moved here, I started exploring a little more dance. And when I got to college, I started taking some dance class. I also explored a lot of salsa, some ballroom, but I did salsa for a number of years. And then I auditioned and got into one of the UMass Amherst dance teams that just started. In fact, like, proud to say I'm one of the founding members of the dynamic motion dance team. But that's where I learned most of movement, because I had very little experience beforehand. So it was mostly in college, I would say, that I started moving and understanding anything and everything about dance. So I haven't taken my first ballet class until I was like probably 22 or something, 21.
That's incredible. Wow.
Oh yeah. Well, Chris, do you want to take the next question?
Sure. Okay, so let me see. What was the first, what is your competition experience? And I guess what was your favorite experience with competing? Oh.
Does this call have any like time limits? Because this might be a really long answer. Okay, so you've asked, say that one more time, because I just started going on tangents in my mind.
It's funny. I guess, like, what kind of competitions do you have experience with? And I guess what was your favorite one? Oh, did she disappear?
I didn't. I'm right here. Let's see. So I have done quite a number of PSO competitions, starting from level 2 all the way to level 5. In terms of accolades, I've placed in level 2, 3, and 4. I've yet to place in level 5. And I think my very first level 2 competition was actually maybe Mandy's very first level 2. I think Mandy and I both, maybe, was it New York? I think it was New
Yeah,
York, right?
it was New York. It was on the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was on the stage, I've always competed in artistic, or what used to be called dramatic. And I would say that, probably the biggest rush, there's nothing like the first time you take the stage, right? I mean, it's just, I think that was the biggest one, in terms of, oh wow, I should do that again. How many more times can I do it today? Like, I really want to come back. And if you weren't hooked on pole before, like, and if then you certainly are now, right? I mean, like, if this doesn't get you really in love with pole, if you weren't before, then I don't know what will, because it's just, the community is incredible. Everybody's so supportive. You get to explore your artistic self. You get to have an audience, and you get to really grow, right? Because there's nothing like knowing, hey, I have reserved this time in my life to train, to have this experience on stage. There will be people looking at me. I also paid for my ticket. There's nothing like that to make you work and train harder and more disciplined. Really, everything else is like, yeah, my New Year's resolution. If you want a New Year's resolution, sign up for a competition. Trust me, you'll work harder than you ever have before. So, that's kind of why I do it. Right. I mean, it just makes me a better athlete and a better artist and a better mover. Just certainly, you certainly won't be bored. Right. And then I guess probably one of my favorite routines was the one I did to Schindler's List. That was, I think, level 3 a while ago. Just really a lot of things matched up, both like my tricks level was matching the level I was competing at, and I felt like the choreography really spoke, and kind of took it home. It was kind of all in one. And then, yeah, and I think, like, anybody and everybody who wants to grow should at some point sign up to get some stage time, because there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. And you've also coached a lot of students for competitions too, and you've led our competition session classes too, to like lead everyone and help everyone for the big day. What advice do you have competitors? What is like one bit of advice you can give?
Well, let's see. I think do it for you is the one thing that I keep giving myself as advice, and everyone else, really. I mean, yes, there's going to be people, yes, there's going to be judges, no matter what level you're doing, but really, you're not really doing it for anyone else. If the only reason why you're doing it is to win, you may not be in the right place, because it is really such a small part of what the competition is, because the biggest part of competing is the preparation, is all the run-throughs, is doing it when you'll no longer feel like doing it, is pushing through one more time. That is really what it's about. And if you're not doing it for you, you're probably not going to have as much fun. But if you're doing it for you, and you're doing it for your growth, for your artistry, for your, just growing to be a better poler, you're going to have a blast, because the trajectory is incredible, and you're going to be super proud. And that's really what counts.
Yes, definitely.
I agree. Yeah. Do you have any more questions about competitions, Chris?
About competitions? About competitions? No, I don't think so. You asked about advice. That's it for competitions.
Yeah, that was my last competition question. Do you want to go into another one?
Yeah, sure. So I know you have worked with My Pole Space. Can you tell the pole community about that work?
Sure. So let's see. So I've done some translation for My Pole Space English portal. And I've been very fortunate to have been able to go to My Pole Space and actually take class there. And last spring, I was out of this world fortunate to have been invited to their end of the year show in St. Petersburg and perform with a very, very large paper roll, which it was probably by far the coolest number I've ever done. So if you're talking about like, what is my favorite time on stage, that was probably it. And it was also the longest. It was over 5 minutes long, I believe, maybe even 6. So it was an incredible experience. I mean, everything My Pole Space does, it comes out pretty amazing. I mean, if you look at their teachers and their instructors and their students, everybody's like, feels like everybody walks on water. When you get there, it's kind of true because it's like people do amazing stuff there, but it's a really great community, and it's both online and in person. They have 2 schools now, one in St. Petersburg, one in Moscow, and they do quite a bit of material online as well. Unfortunately, mostly in Russian, but maybe one day that will change. So.
And we could definitely add that Instagram handle for other polars down in the comments below for anyone listening and watching.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of tutorials there that are super great, both for heels dance and tricks, and articles on just general body wellness and aerial wellness and flexibility and things like that.
Awesome.
Is that link to your performance still available too?
Yeah, it should be on my profile. I've uploaded it into IGTV, so it should be there.
Definitely want to include that one as well.
Sure. Yeah, if you need it, let me know.
Yeah. And then, so what is your favorite style of pole?
Probably contemporary for me personally. But then I keep getting seduced into heels. It's because it's really hard to stay away. So there's always this once a year time where I'm like, oh, yeah, I haven't been on heels for a long time. This is fun. Oh, wow, that's a lot of work. So I tend to go through these kind of moments. But, something that I just naturally gravitate towards is contemporary. Since, it's been a couple of years, but I've done a lot of ballet work just to, for toning and understanding lines and things like that. And that kind of naturally brings me over to contemporary. I feel like they're very connected in many ways. And I feel like that's just so transferable to pole. Not that any other movement isn't. Every other movement is. It's just something that I don't know, just kind of like a natural fit for me personally.
Yes, love it.
It's still like cross training. What do you do besides pole, or do you do anything else?
Well, I do. I try to do at least 3 times a week. I try to do a flexibility session, and I split it up by front splits, middle splits, and back flexibility. So just allow an hour for each. Something I should be doing that I haven't so far, but I'm doing a lot of should be doing a lot of rehab for my shoulders, and I've been kind of sweeping that under the rug a little bit, but I do need to come back to that. And in my, with all things being equal, I would do at least a half hour of rehab per each pole training session for my shoulders, because they're just really soft and they have an easy time getting out of socket without me even knowing it happened. So for folks like that, you need to keep that joint nice and stable. Then I try to either take class or do ballet at home. I actually have a bar. I try to do that once a week, mostly bar things, just to get those muscles working.
Nice.
Yeah. It's fun.
Awesome.
It's fun. Try
it. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of lines in general, and I think that's something that pole kind of introduced me to. I mean, you can always go to a dance show or a ballet performance or a circus show and be like, wow, that's pretty, but understanding, wow, that's a beautiful line, or understanding how an artist used the body to get their point across is just like a whole other level. And I feel like with pole, it allowed me to really start understanding body movement in just in a whole other kind of like a whole new universe. So now when I go see any kind of performance that has to do with body motion, I'm like, wow, all right. So there's this whole other world out there that you're just not aware of until you kind of start getting intimately familiar with it.
Mm. Yes, I agree.
Same here. It's definitely different.
Well, do you want to, I have a few more questions, unless you want to go next, Chris.
Yeah, I could go. What is either your favorite pole trick, or what was like your pole nemesis and you're so proud of it that you
All right. Well, two things come to mind, and I'm going to have to talk about two things. So because of my shoulders that are soft, and probably if I was a little younger, they would have been called double jointed, but they're definitely very soft. I couldn't jump into a handspring from a floor until year 4 in my training. It was not just a nemesis. It was just something I didn't even know was possible for people like me. My shoulders would just wobble. They couldn't stay in place at all. And it took a lot of rehab. It took actually an extra year of going to the gym and understanding how lats work, because I didn't even know I had them. I just could, like, all I had instead of lats were ribs. Like I could just feel my ribs through my back, and that was it. I thought everybody was like that, but no, that's just me. So understanding how lats work, how to work the shoulder, how to really feel it, had a lot to do with that. So there was a lot of education in between. And normally, usually like people with regular shoulders would probably get into jumping into their handspring sometime in the first or second year. It took me literally twice or 3 times or 4 times as long as some people. So that was definitely one. And then another move was Gennaro, which had a completely opposite story. I got into it very fast. Like I tried it a couple of times and then I got into it. And that was before I had hand muscles or back muscles. I got into it because I could just fold, because again, soft muscles in the back, just kind of folded into it. But it was I couldn't get out of it any other way but just kind of folding on top of myself and dropping on the floor. And then once I started working on strength and really being mindful about how my body works, all of a sudden I realized I was stronger, but I couldn't get into Gennaro anymore. I couldn't get into Gennaro for a year. I couldn't understand it. As if like I have this new body now, or at least new awareness, but Gennaro isn't just a part of my universe anymore. Like he used to be able to get into it because he had no muscles. Now you have muscles, but no Gennaro for you. And so it took a while. It took a while to understand how to properly engage the back, and how to get back into it. I don't want to say that I'm now proud to like be an owner of Gennaro for the rest of my life, but it's just one of those things where I had it for a year, maybe 2 years, and it was gone for a couple of years, just completely gone. And I was really frustrated, but it's back this far. It's back so far. Hasn't left yet.
Love it. Thank you for doing that.
Right, though, like pole is a journey though. Like sometimes the moves are there and sometimes they're not. And like where do they go?
Yeah, no, it just, I haven't started polling until I was 30. And that's after having 2 children and having run a marathon and have had a sitting job for a while. So my body had a lot of things in its history that weren't necessarily conducive to active movement in the air. And, I think each of us comes to pole with our own body history.
Yes.
And we're not always aware of it, so when you're giving a challenge like that essentially, I like to say Gennaro kind of moves your organs around. That's what it feels like the first time you get it, right?
Lord.
It just kind of puts your whole like physical part of your life in perspective, I feel like.
Yes. Well, that kind of leads into you talked a little bit about it, but maybe you can get a little bit more about like your pole training style and your philosophy.
My pole training style and my philosophy. Let's see. It ain't over until it's over. For some reason, it's the only thing that comes up into my mind right now, which I don't even know why. But let's see. I really love routine for myself personally. I'm okay to get up at 6 in the morning on a Monday, which is coincidentally something I do, and just know that this is the time for me. This is my pole time. I can go and work really, really hard. And then I feel great for the rest of the day because I feel the body has worked. I feel like the day isn't wasted. If I do pole that day, I feel like I haven't wasted a day. I know it's crazy and a little bit insane, but
I
that's how
understand.
it feels to me. If I've moved in the air and if I touch the steel pipe, I actually feel like the day was worth living. I know it's not the only thing that makes me feel that way, but I love, if I can, I love to train in the morning for that reason. Because it takes up a lot of energy. I also, something I've added recently to my training is 5 minutes of movement improvisation right before I start. It just really gets me being aware of every part of the body. And I don't know if it's, again, me getting older sooner than I was expecting, or it just may be a very good warm-up tool or even a cool down tool to really just, isolations or not, movement across the floor or not. It just, if you put a song on and think like, hey, I want to just figure out how my shoulders feel today and just do that for 5 minutes. Or, hey, I just want to figure out, like, has there been a muscle I haven't moved today yet? And not worry about how it looks. You'd be surprised not just how well you warm up, especially now that it's cold, you get a little sweaty, which is perfect because you kind of stick to the pole, at least for me. You kind of
Yeah.
stick to the pole a little bit. And you'd be amazed, like for me, it actually helped my tricks quite a bit because I feel like warm head to toe. I feel very warm, aware, and kind of tuned in. So that's been helping quite a bit. And then as far as the philosophy goes, I think I give better advice than I take myself. So like I will always say, listen to your body, make sure that, if you're tired, you probably need a break. There's a good reason for that. I'm actually not good at listening to that at all. And in fact, I'll go as far as saying that doing pole consistently teaches me that lesson year after year after year. What I tell my students, I can't tell myself, but I learn it because if I get injured, I'll be like, you idiot, don't you know this? You should know this by now. It's been 8 years. Each year you learn the same damn lesson. Is like, if you're overtrained, you'll get hurt because you're not paying attention to things. So I end up learning that lesson every year because I'll end up getting a minor injury somewhere around my shoulder or somewhere else every year. This year has been an exception this far because I've tried this new thing called rest a little bit. So actually this Monday, I drove to the studio, I walked in and I realized I'm exhausted, and I turned the lights off, turned the heat off, and drove home, which was a true first. I really didn't know how to do that. So it took me about 8
I've done
years
that
to,
too.
to start learning this. But truth to be told, like if you're actually well recovered, you will get to your dream tricks faster than if you are training while completely exhausted. I know that to be true. I've seen it in students. That is what I say to all my students. And I have a hard time doing that myself. I really do. And that's kind of my main challenge. And I feel like, I won't get to where I need to get in pole until I really learn that lesson. So maybe this year is it. Maybe that's what will happen.
Right,
Yeah.
though, the rest is practice.
Right.
Wow.
Right. I think discipline and practice is
Yeah.
key. Consistency is key. Absolutely. But again, understanding that, our progress is never this way. It's always this, like, kind of, you have the dips, and it's important to know once you're in a dip, you actually may need to skip a practice and sleep for more than you thought, because actually, depending on what you train, but if you train a lot of tricks that are scary for you, you actually need even more sleep, because that takes up a lot of energy, is doing things that are like actually actively like super scary. And that could be different things for different people. But it was like, if you got out of the train, you're like, wow, that was an emotional workload. You probably need an extra hour sleep that night.
Yeah, I agree. Paulina, I'm glad you shared that with us because you've always been an inspiration for me. And I'm always like so like the way that you have advanced so much in pole and I've seen you, we've grown together and you just like it's so amazing to just watch you and
Thank you.
to be able
Kudos to
to learn
you.
from
What
you.
you do in heels, man, what you do in heels, I love watching. I'm like, that looks amazing. And then that took so much work. That was incredible and still is.
Well, what are your plans for the future in pole?
Oh boy. So let's see. I am in school and employed full time and also have two teenagers in the house. So my number one goal is to not stop no matter what. I just, not that I can't live without pole, but truth to be told, if I don't pole, I do get pretty depressed. So I just love it too much to stop. I really want to continue the road, the trajectory that I've been on. But one thing that I've been really curious about, and I think Mandy, you and I talked about it a little bit, is really finding that your own voice, your own style and movement, and combining it aerially has been a focus this year. And I just really would like to continue exploring it. And if I was to guess, that probably will appear somewhere in between pole and contemporary fusion. But it's hard to say. And it just feels so many things become more true, if I may say. So many tricks just kind of really land on nicely in a body once you're aware and once you're speaking of your true self, right? Once you're not just like, oh, this trick looks amazing in Instagram, I must do it too, right? Once you don't come from that space, but once you come from a space of, let me see what feels good and perfect that, right? And obviously you do also need to train a certain base level of tricks that just makes you grow as an artist and as an athlete, because if you're not growing in strength, you may not be able to do all the things you like and really want to. But I think when you're doing both, that's really key. And I focused a lot on tricks last year, and I want to focus more on like movement exploration this year. And then we'll see what happens. I kind of look at it year after year, right? Because I have a couple of performances in the year and I'm like, yeah, that felt good. That felt like a grown, or yeah, that was, I did my best, but it didn't feel like me. So I want to add some things and see kind of how that goes.
Yes.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Okay. So we're back. So I guess my next question, because I don't want to take up any more of your time, is can you go into a little bit about the difference you've seen in Russian pole dance, like pole dancing in Russia and pole dancing here in the United States?
It's a really good question. And I've been thinking about it for some time. And if I may, I'm going to add one more dimension to it.
Of course.
There's a really big difference between dancing in a big city and dancing not in a big city. When you're in a big capital type city, there's just so many more levels, and there's just so much more, so many more options to choose from. And I feel like anybody and everybody who loves pole at some point should go to a city that's big and try just different pole studios, because that's what I do when I travel. It's really fun. It's just like, oh yeah, let's check out what they got for pole here. But if you're, and so with that in mind, we're in Springfield, Mass, and what we do for pole really differs, say, what New York does or LA does or like Melbourne, Australia does, right? So in that sense, there's that difference, right? Because when I do go to Russia, I tend to go to either Moscow or St. Petersburg, which are, arguably, capital type cities. But what I have noticed, if you were to compare, say, polling in New York and polling in St. Petersburg, I noticed that because Russia has a subsidized set of schools for kids that are essentially mostly financed by the state, where, say, if you're 6 years old and you're like, yes, I want to be a rhythmic gymnast, you get to go to this like Olympic prep school, and it's affordable, right? It's not like it's here where you have to like drive to the gym for like 45 minutes out. No, the kid in that city can get there by public transportation after school. And even if they don't get to be a part of like the Olympic Reserve, they still have they have grown so much as an athlete. I mean, the methods may be questionable, but that's the fact. Like there is this huge base. Same thing for ballet. Yeah, if a kid is like, I really want to do ballet seriously, there's a prep school for that for sure. And then now with, you know, Russia being in a very different place than when I left in the 90s, there's a ton of recreational stuff that's also really affordable, and it is consistently available like it would in any big city. But specifically for Russia, there's a really strong background in rhythmic and in ballet. So I've noticed that a lot of those people matriculate into pole later on. So they decided to not go into the industry, or maybe they didn't do it because they wanted to do it whatever, but they tend to find pole and, or, you know, otherwise trained professionally in dance. And oh my gosh, I mean, the things they can do there is truly incredible. There is also, however, this whole new movement in fitness industry in general that has realized like, hey, you can't actually do the same thing you do to kids, say in ballet and rhythmic, as you should do to adults. In fact, maybe what you do to kids is not good anyway. You know, all this like extreme methods, but to adults, you certainly can't do it because their skeleton is developed. So you can't like force them into a split, right? And that is also kind of making a really informed practice with like this already amazing level of kind of like body awareness that people have. So I feel like, you know, the finesse of performance is I've consistently seen it to be on another level. Like even in competitions, a lot of people do IPSF there. But artistically also, like a lot of, there used to be this art competition in Cyprus where a lot of people from Russia would go, and you would see some just incredible, outstanding artists. And again, because of this like general level of, I don't want to say fitness, but like artistic movement awareness, because of a huge network of schools, I feel like the whole level is just like, it's just a different ball game in a way. Which again is a joy to be around, because when you do go, it's like, and those people are there to teach the adults who haven't done anything at all, which is great because, you know, you can learn so much.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's, yeah, it's,
I want to set up a trip, I'll lead it.
I was gonna say, especially for those of us who can't travel.
Yeah, I'm yeah, listen, I'll set this all up, no problem.
Again, I would love to experience pole studios in other countries and everything.
That's awesome. I feel like here it's not talked about like it should be.
Well, I mean, another thing that's really important, Russia actually recognized pole as an official sport.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
It happened, and it
What's
happened.
wrong with us here?
Say that again?
What's wrong with us here?
You sure this call is not timed? Because if we start on that.
Maybe that could be a next year's movement.
Yeah, and you know, there are athletes who train pole specifically for international competitions. There are kids that instead of going into rhythmic or ballet, or maybe they did some of that at first, they go into pole and they, you know, they show some amazing results too.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, like, can you imagine if, because I have a similar story, Paulina, that there was no resources available for me to train when I was younger, even though I wanted to be a dancer. But can you imagine if there was? We would be so good.
You know, I just.
I would have been a little bit of dancing.
Yeah, it would certainly be great. I don't know if I'd want it as much if I had it though. You know, as well. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just grateful to be able to move, you know, and at 38, kind of where I'm at, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do things that most 38-year-olds can.
That's
you know,
true.
just gotta be happy with that, because it's not like you're getting another body and like, oh, in 10 years, here's a new one. You know, that's all you got. So
you could do half your age can't do.
Right, that's true. It's so true. Well,
yeah. You said you had a funny question. Does it involve it?
So if we like a wrap it up question, since you brought it up earlier, Paulina, and it was representing your relations to pole, what is your favorite pole grip that you like to
Oh
use,
yeah.
and how do you use it?
So I do like dry hands as kind of the everyday. Similar, I brought this up. Um, this one seems to work really well as a base layer for my feet because believe it or not, but anytime I learn a trick on my right foot, it's okay, but my left foot just sweats because I'm not as confident. So,
So
this is work really good for me personally as a base layer. Now I don't have particularly super dry or super sweaty skin, so it's kind of average. And I think for everybody it's different. I've used also this in the past, which is a grip I brought from Russia,
Okay.
DY liquid chalk, and that tends to dry a little too much for me, but sometimes again on the feet it works like a charm. So kind of going in between these three, but right now in the winter my skin has turned to be drier than usual. I don't know if we're having a drier winter, but to be honest, I'm also carrying an oil-free lotion with me. So if I'm sliding, especially in my knee pits, because I can't grip because it's too dry, that does the trick too. It just sticks me right to the pole. So I know it's not a grip, and I know we normally say do not use lotion. That is all true. However, if you have extremely dry skin, that may do trick too.
yeah.
Yes.
And I know you also went into super in depth about different grips in another like an Instagram story.
Yes, I did. I think it's IGTV on my Pole Space English page about grips, and we talked about all kinds of grips. I actually got a sample of all of them before we started, and yeah, I think that's still available.
Oh, perfect. I was going to ask, and then we can link up
Mhm.
to that too.
Definitely.
Excellent, because I know a lot of people liked that DY liquid chalk that you had, and it's
Yeah, I would say like, if you're talking about the difference between polars in Russia and polars here in the States, that's one thing that I see widely being used in Russia that I don't see a lot of here is grip based on magnesium. I don't see a lot of it here, but I see a lot of it, this type of grip, and you can see the ingredients. It's magnesium carbonate as one of the first ingredients, or just magnesium something. It's that drying agent that's the chalky type. I don't see a lot of people use it here. I don't know if there's a reason for that, but there's just, the grips are, you feel like you get to a Russian pole studio and the grips are totally different. Also poles. We have 48 millimeter poles here in the States, I think.
oh 45, yeah.
45. We have 45 millimeter poles, but in Russia, a lot of people train on 42s.
Yeah, I've seen that they're smaller.
Yeah, and
Why?
they're great. Well, if you're training any kind of like strength tricks, amazing. Like if you're training handsprings, your hand wraps more, and it actually, you're like, wow, I'm so strong. Is this the airplane ride that did it? No, it's the 42 millimeter pole. But like 45s, anything that's like based on a knee grip or an armpit grip, anything that's thicker, that is like, oh yeah, this is way more comfortable when you have like a grippy trick as opposed to a strength-based trick.
That would make more sense. I guess I'm just spoiled using the 45 millimeter like all the time and not thinking that there would be other ones to use for different purposes.
Well, I mean, it depends, like I think also 42 millimeter is really popular in other countries, in Europe as well. I think a lot of people like it, and a lot of people, also do spin only on 42 for some reason. But
Yeah.
it's nice. It's a nice change when you train strength-based tricks to be like, oh yeah, wow, this really feels different. It's amazing how much like 3 millimeter difference will make.
Definitely.
Right, because like I remember the 50 millimeter.
I started
The
on
leg
that.
hang felt great on that, did it not?
No, I couldn't climb or anything. I was just like,
But when you are in your leg hang, it feels like
oh, I guess so. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not gonna go anywhere. But like try doing a shoulder mount with both cups on a 50 is gonna be terrible, right?
Yes.
The reverse is true for 42. You're like doing a shoulder mount, like, wow, I'm so strong. So good. Yeah.
That's funny. So I think that was all my questions, Chris.
Yes, I think that's pretty much all mine too. We were kind of going back and forth.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a true joy to talk about something I love so much with with both of you.
Yeah,
Yes,
we were excited.
we're so pumped to learn more about you and definitely get you out there. We're gonna have your link to your classes below in the comments for
Right.
anybody who wants to do online or come in. Um, this was so much fun. Definitely the
Likewise,
Yeah,
definitely.
thank you
Great.
for coming out and taking the time to talk with us.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
yeah.
yes.
All right, have a good day.
You too, Paulina.
Bye.